श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे। उन्मत्तनटनताण्डवं मत्ते भवदनभासुरं चित्ताब्जबोधभास्करम् आयत्तयोगराजितं विद्वेषनित्यपूजितम् उत्तानपाणिमुद्रितं श्रीकृत्तिवाससुतं कैलासदृशदिनर्तनं भक्तान्तरङ्गवर्तनं पापौघपाशकर्तनं श्रीपार्वतीसुतं भजे। श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे। लम्बोदराङ्गताण्डवं मुद्राकराब्जपण्डितं सर्वाङ्गनागमण्डनं वन्दे विनायकं पतिम्। धिं धिम्मितकिटमर्दलं भं भं निनादशङ्खकम् आनन्दनृत्यतत्परं ध्यायामि प्रमथनायकम्। आमोदकरमोदकं वेदान्तमतिमादकं दुष्कर्मफलसाधकं विघ्नेश्वरं गुरुं भजे। श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे। सृष्टिस्थितिलयकारणं मोक्षाख्यदैत्यमारणं संसारजलधितारणं स्तौमि प्रभो नरवारणं। पञ्चास्यमादिदैवतं देवऋषिभिः समर्चितम् आलोकगलितसञ्चितं विघ्नाधिनाथमाश्रये। श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे। लोकैकपरमवैभवं लोकेश्वरादिसम्भवम् आलोकपरिहृतोद्भवम् आलोकये परं भवम्। श्रीकृष्णकविनिवेदितैः श्लोकाख्यमोदकैरिमैः आनन्दगणपतिं पतिम् आराधयन्तु साधकाः। श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, 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 श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे।
परब्रह्म समारंभां श्रीदत्तात्रेयमध्यमां श्रीदत्तस्वामी पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। सर्वविश्वन्यस्तपादपद्मायते वामहस्तालोल वेदशास्त्रायते ज्ञानसूर्यायते दत्तरूपायते श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वन्दनम्। श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वन्दनम्। श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वन्दनम्। Guru Datta Shri Datta Prabhu Datta Pahi Mam. Vidhi Datta Hari Datta Hara Datta Rakshamam. Pahi Mam Datta Rakshamam Datta. Swami, Namaskaram Swami.
Namaskaram, Swami.
Pada Namaskaram, Swamiji. With salutations at the lotus feet of Shri Datta Swami, let us begin the satsang today with question and answers. I offer this dedication at the lotus feet of Swamiji. From you alone is all knowledge sublime, and everything that's great and fine. All the ignorance and error are but mine, for I am just a soul, and you the goal divine. Trusting your compassion benign, my errant service I yet consign to those holy lotus feet of thine, Shri Datta Swami, my Sadguru trine. So we are in the set of questions by Srimati Chandaji, and we have covered the first 5 questions, and we are now continuing with the 6th one. The question is, should lustful female devotees approach the incarnation or not? So Chandaji describes in detail her question. She says, in reply to the question, can a woman approach the incarnation if she suffers from unfulfilled sexual desire leading to multiple sexual partners? You said that the human incarnation is not a call boy, and the link to that question answer on the website is included over here. So in one context, Swami said that the woman devotee should not approach him considering him to be a call boy. And then there is the contrary position where she says, but Swami, does this reply not go against the knowledge preached by you earlier? You yourself have said that a soul which is in dushpravritti will get reformed in due course of time if it turns towards God by seeing the chocolate, that is the incentive given by God in the very beginning. In the Kali age, the majority of souls are in dushpravritti. This question is very genuine from that direction because this soul who is in dushpravritti knows that it is only earning sin and it wants help from God. But your answer seems to be in the opposite direction. Please remove my ignorance. So the question is, if there is a woman who has unfulfilled sexual desires, can she approach the human incarnation? The Swami said that no, she should not, because he is not a call boy. But elsewhere he has also said that if she directs her sexual desire towards God, although it is a dushpravritti desire, the woman is at the level of dushpravritti, which is unjust worldly behavior. If that person redirects that lustful tendency towards the human incarnation of God instead of directing it towards some other human being, some boyfriend or some lover, then that redirection towards God is the pathway to reformation. So then finally, should she divert it to God or should she not divert it to God? Because there seems to be a contradiction. And since people in the Kali age, the majority of the people in the Kali age, including all of us, we belong to the path of dushpravritti. We naturally have that sinful tendency in us. And the only way for us to reform is by turning towards God. We don't have all pure qualities that we may turn all those pure qualities towards God. Most of the qualities that we have are impure qualities. The only way that we can reform is to redirect those impure qualities towards God. And then God will purify them. That is the only hope for us. Otherwise, we will continue to sin. And if it is told to a woman that even if you have those lustful tendencies, that itself will be an asset for you to attain reformation and salvation. That is the incentive. That is the chocolate. That you don't have to change your qualities, merely redirect those qualities which you are already fond of, and that will yield salvation to you. That is the incentive, the chocolate that is given by God. So she is asking whether they should approach God, approach the incarnation or not. Now here Swami replied, he says, God will select only such dushpravrutti devotees in whom there is some hope of reformation. An entrance test is conducted even to admit a student into school. God is omniscient and he knows everything about every devotee. This policy of reformation is applicable to such devotees who have some scope of reformation in the eyes of God. So what Swamiji is saying is, yes, reformation is possible if the lustful devotee turns her lust towards God instead of to some other human lover. That pathway of reformation is very much there, but it doesn't mean that anyone and everyone can simply use God like a call boy. God decides, God chooses which of those dushpravrutti devotees are capable of getting reformed. Many of these dushpravrutti devotees, they are beyond repair. No matter how much God tries to reform them, they are not going to get reformed. There is another pathway for them, which Swamiji will explain shortly. So only if there is some hope in a certain devotee, that the devotee, upon receiving the attention of the human incarnation, upon remaining in his close association, if there is some hope that this devotee is going to learn spiritual knowledge and allow that knowledge to transform herself internally, then that pathway of reformation is offered by God. Otherwise, there is no need for God uh, kind of tolerating the negative qualities of souls. Now she asks further, on what basis does the contemporary human incarnation of God decide whether or not to accept a lustful devotee? So since Swami said that God will select that devotee who has some potential for reformation, and those who do not have the potential for reformation, he will not allow them to approach him in that way. So now she is asking, what is the basis? What are the criteria? So she describes her question in more detail. One more doubt in continuation to my above question. On what basis then does the contemporary human incarnation accept the dushpravrutti soul who approaches him with a lustful intention? Does he see the probability of the soul getting reformed or not? Or does he see the attitude? But if the soul gets rejected, not only will its chance of removing the lustful tendency be lost, but the chance of reformation is also almost lost. Moreover, the soul in the stage of dushpravrutti will only turn to God due to the attraction to his chocolate, the incentive provided by God. Nothing more can be expected from such a soul. Is it not, Swami? I really apologize if this question shows too much audacity. Audacity means too much boldness. The whole aim is to understand it properly. Please improve my understanding. Swami replied, a soul which has no scope of reformation will be punished for its sins, so that the soul becomes mentally allergic to committing sins. After some time, the intensity of dushpravrutti will gradually reduce and the soul will become eligible for the above said program of reformation. So this is the other path that Swamiji was mentioning. For those devotees who are in whom there is not much hope of reformation in this birth itself, they have to be punished. They learn through punishment. The learning is not much through punishment, actually speaking. Learning reduces the intensity of the sinful tendency. The sinful tendency, which is highly intense, prevents learning. So here's why learning is crucial over here. The basic concept of Madhura Bhakti is a woman devotee who has an uncontrollable lustful tendency, instead of directing her lust towards a human lover, directs it to God in human form. He is very attractive, and she directs her lustful tendency towards him. She starts considering him to be her lover. God also entertains her advances in the beginning so that she starts believing that he is interested in her romantically. So her love for the incarnation grows. And when it grows, she starts associating more and more closely with him. And when she associates very closely with him, she starts learning spiritual knowledge, because the human incarnation, directly as well as indirectly, is always preaching spiritual knowledge. Some knowledge he explicitly preaches, as in giving a lecture. Some knowledge he preaches through his actions. Just by observing him also, we learn many lessons. Very solid lessons which are part of the whole body of spiritual knowledge. So when this devotee starts associating with the human incarnation closely, she learns many concepts about spiritual knowledge. She learns about his transcendental nature, his nature which is beyond this creation. She understands that his original nature is unimaginable. He is not interested in this creation. He is already blissful. Nothing attractive within this creation can really attract him. He is fully fulfilled. He is not romantically interested in any soul. Such lessons she starts learning. This leads to reformation, because after a certain point, she starts, let's say she becomes more open to giving up that romantic color to her devotion. Her devotion, her love towards the incarnation initially was mostly romantic. But she gradually, that emphasis on the romance goes down, and she's able to give up that romantic color to her love for God. And that is when she gets established in pravritti. She can proceed further and attain the goal of nivritti also. So this is the general pathway. But this general pathway assumes that that woman devotee who got attracted to the male human incarnation has a learning mind, has a mind that is capable of learning those concepts. There are many devotees who are, well, even to call them devotees is questionable, because they are not in that learning frame of mind. They just want to fulfill their lust. That's all. They are not willing to listen to anything. They are not willing to consider anything, any other concept. Now, such people cannot be changed. That person has a single pointed agenda to satisfy her lust. Similarly, other human beings, this we are talking in this context of Madhura Bhakti. That is why the discussion is about lust. But otherwise, in other contexts, there are some people who are so overcome by greed or ambition or some other negative quality, and they cannot see beyond it. For them, it is only that one fixation that they have, and nothing can change them. No knowledge, nothing is going to work. So such people cannot be turned, they cannot be transformed even by the association of the human incarnation. Such people he will not entertain. He is not going to waste his time on such people. What will he do for such people? Because ultimately he is the Divine Father. The Divine Father must care for all his must care for all his children. All the souls are his children. So what is the pathway for those people who are beyond repair? The pathway is that they will be sent to hell. So God will allow them to do whatever they want to do due to their excessive lust. They will engage in lustful activities. As a result, after their death, they will certainly go to hell. When they go to hell, they'll be punished, thrashed. They will be made to embrace that red hot copper statue of each of the partners that they cheated with. So that is a terrible, shocking punishment that they will face in hell. And all these descriptions, really horrifying descriptions, are given in some of the Puranas, such as the Garuda Purana. So after repeated such punishments, their intensity, the intensity of that negative quality, in this case, the negative quality of lust, that intensity comes down. And once the intensity comes down, now they are in a position to learn. Now they can benefit from the association of the human incarnation. If that intensity of lust is too high, they are not in that learning frame of mind. They are as good as or as bad as animals. So for them, God is not going to waste time. If you have at least reduced the intensity of that lust to a level where some logic, some knowledge can really reach you, then God will intervene. He will choose you. He will give you some time. He will also attract you towards him. He will um, he will do all that is necessary to improve your devotion, to increase your attachment to him. Once you are attached sufficiently, then he will start revealing so many concepts which actually you had not bargained for, but they will cause the transformation within you. So this is the pathway. Lord Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kshipamyajasrama Shubhan Asurishveva Yonishu. When the people, when a person of dushpravrutti is extremely hardened in those negative qualities, he has no choice. No, Bhagavad Gita cannot reach the ears of, or maybe it reaches the ears of people like Duryodhana, but it does not reach the brain. So what can be done with a person like Duryodhana? He has to be killed. Physically, he has to be killed. And in hell, he has to be physically punished. And after multiple such births, each of them more miserable than the other, perhaps that intensity of those negative qualities will come down, and then some rectification, some reformation becomes possible. So I know it feels very harsh, but that is how it is. And therefore, God repeatedly tells us, God repeatedly emphasizes the need for spiritual knowledge. Learn through knowledge. It's a smooth path. If you refuse knowledge, the path is very harsh. Next one. This is also a question by Srimati Chanda. Did the 12 successful Gopikas truly know that they were enacting a divine drama? She says, Swami, is it really true that the 12 past Gopikas, the 12 Gopikas who passed all the 3 tests of Lord Krishna, whether they knew in that birth that they were playing a divine drama depicting the nature of the future souls in the Kali Yuga? Even if they were aware of it, internally they were at their climax stage of nivrutti, because of which they could surrender everything to their contemporary human incarnation. It was not because they were trying to reach pravrutti from dushpravrutti. In other words, they were not merely attracted to the initial chocolate or the incentive that you mentioned. It was very natural for them to go even against justice. Please comment. So the idea is that she's saying that those 12 Gopikas who passed all the tests, they were clearly extraordinary. And she's asking whether since they were extraordinary, whether they knew that they were enacting a drama, or were they under ignorance and they were just playing their part, not realizing that they are actually enacting a drama. Now, what drama? They were this drama of the Rasakeli was meant for the people of Kali Yuga. In the Kali Yuga, people are sinful, and for sinful people, the path to reformation is direct those negative qualities towards God, and He will reform you. If you have a lustful tendency, direct it towards God, and that lustful quality itself will be the reason for your salvation. This lesson had to be taught to the people of the upcoming Kali age. This drama was enacted at the end of the Dwapar age, some 5,000 or 7,000 years ago, and it was meant for the people of today. So since that drama was being enacted by the Gopikas, maybe all the Gopikas were not free of ignorance, but these 12 Gopikas at least who passed, they might have been free of ignorance, and they might have been aware that they are just enacting a drama, and that they were not attracted to the incentive, the chocolate provided by Lord Krishna. The chocolate or the incentive provided by Lord Krishna was the romance, the a chance to get into a romantic relationship with him. That the romance with him itself is the ticket to salvation. That is uh, the chocolate. So these 12 gopikas might not have been interested in those incentives. They were quite conscious about the fact that they are playing a role in a drama, because these 12 gopikas were of such a level that they did not even mind crossing justice for the sake of God. Such such was their intense love for God that they did not mind even violating dharma for the sake of God. So she is asking whether it was true that they knew that they were playing a part. Swami replied, "The miraculous powers attained by the sages reborn as the Gopikas through penance are under the control of God. If God wishes that the fact should be known to them, then and only then will they get to know the fact." What is the fact? That it is a drama. They are enacting a drama. So although they had miraculous powers, the sages definitely had miraculous powers, and it was the sages of the previous yugas who were reborn as the Gopikas. They were not in control of their miraculous powers, because the miraculous powers are ultimately, they are gifts, they are granted by God. And so God always has control over the miraculous powers. He will give them awareness to the extent that He wishes. The Gopikas recognized Krishna as God since Krishna wished it. Even though the Gopikas knew that Krishna was God, they were covered by the illusory attraction towards their children and complained to Mother Yashoda against God Krishna. Now, sages cannot argue that they were totally covered by illusion, since they did identify Krishna as God. As per the requirement of the drama, God controls everything, including the miraculous powers attained by penance. So the Gopikas had partial realization. They had partial awareness. What awareness or what realization did they have? They had the realization that Krishna is God. Other than that, they also were covered by ignorance. What was the ignorance they had? They had blind attachment towards their children. Like all human beings, like all of us, we also have blind attachment towards our money, towards our children, towards our spouse, towards so many things. But these three being the top. Similarly, the Gopikas also had attachment to their children, to their wealth. They had realization only in one aspect, which is that Krishna is God. If there is total awareness, there cannot be any test. When there is the awareness that Krishna is God, but there is also an ignorance that this child is mine and this money earned is earned by me, when that partial ignorance exists, love can be tested. The purity of love can be tested. Do you love your children more or do you love Krishna more? Krishna is announcing, I am God. How much do you love me? Do you love me more than your children? Do you love me more than your wealth? For that, the love for the wealth should exist. For the love for the children should exist. If that itself does not exist, the test cannot be done. It is like, you're playing a game. In the game, you don't know what the next move is going to be. Let's take chess, for instance. Two players are playing. Suppose the opposite player announces what moves he is going to make. Where is the game? There's no game at all. You should be unaware of what his next move is going to be. Then there is a game. So in any game, in any test, there must be a partial ignorance. On an exam, if the question paper also has the model answer, then where is the test? All students will pass because the model answer is given in the question paper itself. So the test requires some knowledge and some ignorance. Some knowledge should be given saying that this is Krishna. This Krishna is God. He's not a human being. He's not a village boy. He is God. He has come in human form. That realization they had. And what is the evidence? The Narada Bhakti Sutras. They clearly say that the Gopikas were well aware of his divinity. Now, having given the Gopikas that awareness of his divinity, he is now going to test them. And those who are able to sacrifice their wealth and their children, the bond with their wealth and children for the sake of Krishna, they are the past Gopikas. They pass the exam. And the others fail the exam. And that is the idea. So Swami continues, he says, this is a continuation of the same question. Of course, the sages were great devotees who were capable of crossing justice for God. That does not mean that they will cross justice whenever they like. The climax devotee will only cross justice for the sake of God when God tests the devotee by asking the person to cross justice for him. Siriyala killed his son and cooked him for the sake of God when God asked for it. When God commanded Abraham to offer his son in sacrifice, Abraham obeyed it. In both cases, justice was crossed. But these cases are appreciated because these acts were done following the command of God. Therefore, in both cases, God gave back the life to the sons of the devotees and blessed the devotees with salvation. So she had also mentioned a point towards the end, Chandaji, that these gopikas were capable of crossing justice for the sake of God. Yes, that was true. But justice is not some trivial item that can be sacrificed anytime and every time that you think. We are controlled by justice. Justice is far greater than us. We are just ordinary, puny little human beings in an ocean of souls in this creation. And justice or dharma is that framework, that administration, that divine administration that governs this entire ocean of souls. As many molecules of water are there in the ocean, so many individual souls are there in this creation. An uncountable number of souls are there in this creation. Justice governs all of them. So justice is not something very small or something silly that if you feel like you can follow it, if you feel like you can kick it away, justice can kick you away. So justice should not be violated. It is not something to be taken very lightly. There is only exactly one thing that is above justice, and that is God, the giver of justice, the founder of justice. Other than him, there is nobody who is above justice. Everybody comes under justice. So only when God commanded those specific devotees, Abraham and Siriala, they violated justice. According to justice, you cannot murder anyone, and least of all your own child. You're supposed to take care of your child. But they sacrificed their children, and that they did at the command of God. So it shows that they had reverence for justice. They were not unjust people. Unjust people, people in dushpravritti, have no respect for justice. They violate justice left and right. Those people are asuras. They are not human beings. They are not civilized people. They are uncivilized, wicked people who violate justice, and they are punished like anything. The punishment for them is horrible. We cannot even tolerate the kind of punishment that is given to them. We cannot even tolerate seeing the punishment that is given to such wicked souls in hell. So violation of justice simply is the worst thing you can do. Here the question is violating justice at the command of God. And the Gopikas, those 12 Gopikas, were of that category. They were capable of violating justice for the sake of God, at the command of God. Swami continues, he says, if a devotee violates justice without any instruction from God, it simply means that the act of injustice was done due to the devotee's own self-interest, due to the devotee's selfish interest. Even if God tests a nivritti level female devotee by offering her a chance of having sexual union with him, the test ends when the devotee gets ready for it, crossing the justified spouse bond for God. God will not even proceed to create an illusory form for the sake of sexual union with that nivritti devotee. He will command her to dedicate herself in the propagation of spiritual knowledge, which is the mission of God. Therefore, words like lust or sex do not exist in the dictionary of nivritti. So in the context of Madhura Bhakti, the romantic devotion towards God, the devotee should not violate justice without any instruction from God, without a specific instruction from God. At the nivritti level, if a devotee is of the nivritti level, where in the final stage of nivritti, the devotee is supposed to be able to sacrifice anything and everything for the sake of God, including dharma, including justice. So if God says that he wants to test her spouse bond, do you love your spouse more or do you love me more? If God says that, if God asks her to prove her greater love for the incarnation compared to her love with her spouse, she should be ready. If she is ready, God will not proceed further at all, because he is not romantically interested in any devotee. He is not romantically interested at all. So he is not going to proceed. If at all he were to proceed, he would have created an illusory form of himself, which would engage in romantic activity with that female devotee, because he remains a celibate. He is not interested at all. So he would create an illusory form, and that illusory form of himself, in which God does not exist, that illusory form will have some romantic activity with that woman, and that would be the end of it. But even that is not necessary. He will merely test the devotee, that when the devotee gets ready to do anything for his sake, the test has ended already. That even creating that illusory form is not necessary. Theoretically, that possibility is there. He is capable of doing it. He has done it in the past. So that possibility exists. But it doesn't mean that it has to be done. Otherwise, the test is not completed. If I'll give you an example, in the case of Siriala, he told Siriala to kill his son and cook him and serve that cooked meat of his own son to him. So he allowed Siriala to kill his son. In the case of Abraham, he never allowed him to kill his son. Before he killed his son, God intervened and stopped him. In both cases, the test was completed. So similarly, the creation of the illusory form, a form of God to indulge in some romantic activity with the devotee, is not necessary. Even before that, he will stop it. And so the devotee has proved that her love for God is greater than her attachment to her spouse, attachment to dharma, and so on. She has proved it. Now, having proved the purity and the strength of her devotion, God will give her an instruction to join his divine mission. And joining the divine mission means to proceed with propagating divine knowledge to the world. God has no specific mission for himself. My mission is to please myself. My mission is to get happier and happier because I'm not already happy. He is already happy. He's already blissful. He doesn't need anything for himself. Whatever he has, when we say that he has come down to fulfill a certain mission, his mission is usually, not usually, necessarily only for us. He has come here to uplift us. The main mission was to uplift these devotees. And then the secondary part of the mission is to propagate that knowledge to the rest of the world. So the devotee will be asked to join his mission by propagating spiritual knowledge to the world. So one thing we should be very clear, that these ideas of lust and sex, they are not at all part of nivrutti. There is a big misunderstanding that being in a romantic or a sexual relationship with God, and especially this comes in the context of Krishna, there are many, many devotees throughout the country who believe that the ultimate devotion is to be romantically involved with God, to be romantically involved with Krishna. That is the ultimate, that is the climax of devotion. This is what they feel. Whereas Swamiji has proved that sacrificing the bonds with the child and wealth are bigger proofs of your love for God than being in a romantic relationship. Because in a romantic relationship, you also get some pleasure. So whether you are working for your pleasure or his pleasure, that is questionable. Whereas when you sacrifice your bond with your child and your wealth, it is very clear you're not getting any benefit in return. So that is a better indicator of your devotion. But the misunderstanding that has propagated over the centuries is that being in a romantic affair with God is the highest devotion. That is not. So this lust and sex have no place in the dictionary of nivritti. Next question. Can the preaching of past incarnations guide the spiritual effort in the absence of the Sadguru? So Srimati Chanda says, Swami, in verse 22nd of chapter 16 of the Sri Radha Krishna Gita, you said, if the soul is unable to attain the guide or the Sadguru, the spiritual knowledge given by the Sadguru can be used as the guide. In this text, following are my doubts. And the first doubt is, should this word unable not be able in this explanation? So if the soul is unable to attain the guide, so she's asking whether that word unable should be replaced by able. If the soul is able to attain the guide, then the spiritual knowledge given by the guide, the Sadguru, can be used. How can the soul use the Sadguru's knowledge as the guide if the person is really unable to find a Sadguru? Are you talking about the preachings of some past incarnations here? So what Swami has said is, if the soul is unable to find the Sadguru, then the spiritual knowledge given by the Sadguru can be used as the guide. But she is saying, if he is unable to find the Sadguru, how will he find the knowledge of the Sadguru? So is Swami referring to the knowledge given by previous Sadgurus, previous human incarnations? That is a question. So Swami confirms that. He says, the spiritual knowledge given by the Sadguru through past human incarnations, which has been printed, can be used as the guide. So before we met our Sadguru, Shri Datta Swami, we used for guidance the scriptures and the spiritual knowledge that is given by previous incarnations. Many of us had read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, the bhashyas and the compositions of Lord Adi Shankaracharya. These are all previous. Many of us have read the Bible. The spiritual knowledge given by previous Sadgurus has been printed and is made available to the entire world, essentially. That can be used as preliminary guidance before you reach the Sadguru. That knowledge will help you reach the Sadguru, who is the contemporary human incarnation of God. Until you meet him, use that previous knowledge. Once you reach him, listen to what he has to say. Don't quote what has been written in the earlier scripture. What is written in the earlier scripture is also his words. What he is speaking right now is also his own words. What is the difference between the two? The previous knowledge was given to someone else in some other context. You are not even familiar with that context. It was given to some devotees whose requirements were different. Your requirements are different. What is being told to you right now by your Sadguru, that is the ultimate. That is context specific, and it is exactly meant for you, knowing your mentality, knowing your capabilities, knowing what you need and what you do not need. Precisely that knowledge is being given to you. Therefore, the knowledge, the spiritual knowledge given by previous incarnations can be used as preliminary guidance until you reach your own Sadguru, who is the contemporary human incarnation of God. And then what he gives is the ultimate. That will lead to your liberation. Because he, being the omniscient, he knows exactly what is to be given to you. Next one, it's a continuation of the same one. How can a soul be unable to find a Sadguru or his knowledge? So she says, even if that word able or unable, that doubt was there. So even if that word is unable, how can a person be unable? My understanding is that if the contemporary incarnation is not attained, the preaching or knowledge of past incarnations is always available, either in the form of books or some other form, or maybe in the form of some guru. If a soul is really interested, the soul will search for it and will definitely come in touch with it. Since the soul didn't search, it did not come in contact with such knowledge. Until the incarnation is seen, we have to go through the earlier scriptures or the earlier knowledge, which is the only alternative. A devotee must search for it. It can't be unable then from this point of view also. Is it not? Please clarify. Swami replied, whenever there is a real necessity of meeting the Sadguru, God will come as the Sadguru to such a devotee. Preachers came to Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa searching for him. If one is becoming eligible for an advanced spiritual step, the omnipotent God will arrange for it. I think all of us listening to this have experienced this firsthand. Each of us had some exposure to spirituality through some way or the other, either through a friend or through a previous guru, or by reading some scripture, or by reading some biographies of some great devotees of the past, we had some exposure to spirituality, which evoked a quest in us, which made us search or seek our Sadguru. And when the time was ripe, the Sadguru appeared. Datta Swami, God in human form, the contemporary human incarnation of God in this generation, he came before you. That is how it happens. Where there is a real necessity, he appears. So I think at this point I'll pause and hand over to Suryaji. Pada Namaskaram, Swamiji.
Namaskaram, Swami. So first, I will share the screen. I'm just sharing the screen. I hope now it is visible, the slide.
Yes, visible.
Thank you. So we are going to the set of question answers on March 16, 2026. We have covered the first 5. These were asked by Srimati Chanda. And now the 6th question is, should lustful female devotees approach the incarnation or not? Her detailed question is, in reply to the question, can a woman approach the incarnation if she suffers from unfulfilled sexual desire leading to multiple sexual partners? You said that the human incarnation is not a call boy. In fact, the link of that discourse is also given here. But Swami, does this reply not go against the knowledge preached by you earlier? You yourself have said that a soul which is in Dushpravritti will get reformed in due course of time if it turns towards God by seeing the chocolate, that is incentive given by God in the very beginning. In the Kali age, the majority of souls are in Dushpravritti. This question is very genuine from that direction, because this soul who is in Dushpravritti knows that it is only earning sin and it wants help from God. But your answer seems to be in opposite direction. Please remove my ignorance. Swami replied, God will select only such Dushpravritti devotees in whom there is a hope of reformation. An entrance test is conducted even to admit a student into a school. God is omniscient and knows everything about every devotee. This policy of reformation is applicable to such devotees who have some scope of reformation in the eyes of God. So, in the eyes of God, that is most important point here. And her next question, On what basis does the contemporary incarnation of God decide whether or not to accept a lustful devotee? In fact, a detailed question is one more doubt in continuation to my above question. On what basis then does the contemporary human incarnation accept the Dushpravritti soul who approaches him with a lustful intention? Does he see the probability of the soul getting reformed or not? Or does he see the attitude? But if the soul gets rejected, not only will its chance of removing the lustful tendency be lost, but the chance of reformation is also almost lost. Moreover, the soul in the stage of Dushpravritti will only turn to God due to the attraction to this chocolate, that is incentive provided by God. Nothing more can be expected from such a soul. Is it not, Swami? I really apologize if this question shows too much audacity. The whole aim is to understand it properly. Please improve my understanding. Swami replied, a soul which has no scope of reformation will be punished for its sins so that the soul becomes mentally allergic to committing sins. It's a very beautiful point here. The soul becomes mentally allergic to committing sins. After some time, the intensity of dushpravritti will gradually reduce and the soul will become eligible for the above said program of reformation. Her next question is, did the 12 successful Gopikas truly know that they were enacting a divine drama? The detailed question is, Swami, is it really true that the 12 past Gopikas knew in that birth that they were playing a divine drama depicting the nature of the future souls in the Kali Yuga? Even if they were aware of it, internally they were at their climax stage of nivritti, because of which they could surrender everything to their contemporary human incarnation. It was not because they were trying to reach pravritti from dushpravritti. In other words, they were not merely attracted to the initial chocolate, that is incentive, that you mentioned. It was very natural for them to go even against justice. Please comment. Swami replied, the miraculous powers attained by the sages reborn as the Gopikas through penance are under the control of God. If God wishes that the fact should be known to them, then and only then they will come. They will get to know the fact. If God wishes that the Gopikas should not identify a fact, such a fact will not be known by the sages born as the Gopikas. The Gopikas recognized Krishna as God since Krishna wished it. Even though the Gopikas knew that Krishna was God, they were covered by the illusory attraction towards their children and complained to Mother Yashoda against God Krishna. Now, sages cannot argue that they were totally covered by illusion, since they did identify Krishna as God. As per the requirement of drama, God controls everything, including the miraculous powers attained by penance. A continuation. Of course, the sages were great devotees who were capable of crossing justice for God. That does not mean that they will cross justice whenever they like. The climax devotee will only cross justice for the sake of God when God tests the devotee by asking the person to cross justice for him. Siriyala killed his son and cooked him for the sake of God when God asked for it. When God commanded Abraham to offer his son in sacrifice, Abraham obeyed it. In both these cases, justice was crossed. But these cases are appreciated because these acts were done following the command of God. Therefore, in both cases, God gave back life to the son of the devotees and blessed the devotees with salvation. If a devotee violates justice without any instruction from God, it simply means that the act of injustice was done due to the devotee's own self-interest. Even if God tests a nivritti level female devotee by offering her a chance of having sexual union with him, the test ends when the devotee gets ready for it, crossing the justified spouse bond for God. God will not even proceed to create an illusory form for the sake of sexual union with that nivritti devotee. He will command her to dedicate herself in the propagation of spiritual knowledge, which is the mission of God. Therefore, words like lust or sex do not exist in the dictionary of Nivritti. And her next question: can the preaching of past incarnations guide the spiritual effort in the absence of the Sadguru? In fact, her detailed question is, Swami, in verse 22 of chapter 16 of the Sri Radha Krishna Gita, you said, if the soul is unable to attain the guide or the Sadguru, the spiritual knowledge given by the Sadguru can be used as the guide. In this text, following are my doubts. First of all, should this unable not be able in this explanation? If it is really unable to find a Sadguru, how can the soul use the Sadguru's knowledge as the guide? Are you talking about preachings of some past incarnations Here, Swami replied, the spiritual knowledge given by the Sadguru through past human incarnations, which has been printed, can be used as the guide. And her next question, how can a soul be unable to find a Sadguru or his knowledge? The detailed question is, even if it is unable, how can it be so? My understanding is that if the contemporary human incarnation is not attained, the preaching or knowledge of past incarnations is always available, either in the form of books or some other form, or maybe in the form of some guru. If a soul is really interested, it will search for it and will definitely come in touch with it. Since the soul did not search, it did not come in contact with such knowledge. Until the incarnation is seen, we have to go through the earlier scriptures or knowledge, which is the only alternative. A devotee must search for it. It can't be unable then from this point of view also. Is it not? Please clarify. Swami replied, whenever there is a real necessity of meeting the Sadguru, God will come as the Sadguru to such a devotee. Preachers came to Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa searching for him. If one is becoming eligible for an advanced spiritual step, the omnipotent God will arrange for it. Excellent. So now we will read some question answers. So, okay. Now we are going through the set of question answers on November 2nd, 2025. These were asked by Sri Rishikesh. We have covered the first 7 questions. So we'll go through the we will go through from the 8th question onwards. What is the difference between incarnations of goddess Rakta Chamunda and goddess Kali? What the detailed question is, what is the difference between incarnations of goddess Rakta Chamunda and goddess Kali? They both have similar aspects of destroying evil forces. But what is the difference? Swami replied, evil forces are destroyed by God, in which your interference is not needed, even if it is your case and you are suffering from evil forces. I just repeat this sentence. Evil forces are destroyed by God, in which your interference is not needed, even if it is your case, and you are suffering from evil forces. Kali is very powerful deity, who is the wild form of goddess Parvati. A male devotee who can see all the females in the world as his mother can succeed in the worship of Kali, and such a case is Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Other than such a devotee, other male devotees will be swallowed by the Divine Mother Kali. Since Kali is the wild form of the goddess, even the female devotees are not advised to worship her, since the effect of wildness will destroy them also. It is always advised to worship the peaceful forms of God or goddess for both males and females. And his next question, is there a specific reason for the incarnation of Kala Bhairava, like how Virabhadra was born to destroy Daksha Yajna? And the detailed question is, I often get confused between the incarnation of Virabhadra and Kala Bhairava of Lord Shiva. How was Kala Bhairava born? Is there a specific reason for this incarnation, like how Virabhadra was born to destroy Dakshayajna? Is there any particular context in which Lord Shiva took the form of Kalabhairava? Swami replied, God Shiva incarnated as Kalabhairava to pluck out the fifth upper head of Brahma, which spoke a lie. This is only a divine drama in which it is preached to humanity that a lie should not be told, at least to God. And his next question, why did Lord Rama ask Sita to undergo the same test of chastity after the washerman's comment? And his detailed question is, when Mother Sita from the Ramayana had already proved her chastity by entering the fire in Lanka, why did not Lord Rama ask her to undergo the same test here after the washerman's comment? That way, Rama and Sita could have stayed together instead of sending her to the forest. The story would have ended happily. Why did God choose to send Sita to the forest? Please counter the feminist argument that Lord Rama was an alpha male who dominated and unnecessarily punished his wife. Was it right for Rama to trouble his family merely to satisfy public opinion? How can we say Lord Rama did not act just to appease people and gain the reputation of being a great king? Swami replied, even the washerman is a respected citizen in the public of the kingdom of Rama, who treated the public more important than even his family members. The ideals of Rama, of God Rama, as a king are the highest, so that any king will follow these ideals at least to some extent. By trying to follow God Rama, the ruling officials will at least treat their family members in par with public so that they will not do corruption and support nepotism. The goal shall always be the highest so that followers can reach at least to a higher level. Sita was sent to a place very near to the asylum of Valmiki existing in the forest because just a day before that, Sita expressed her desire to visit the asylum of Valmiki. Scriptures say that the husband of a pregnant lady shall fulfill the desire of his pregnant wife. Rama also thought that his children will grow in the asylum of Valmiki with full discipline so that they will rule the kingdom like himself in the most perfect way in future. If the children are grown in the palace of a king, they are likely to enter indiscipline. Rama knows that Sita is very chaste even before she entered the fire in Lanka. Rama also knows that Sita is the incarnation of his inherent power called Mahalakshmi, and that Sita is very capable of performing any miracle she likes. The ignorance of the background is responsible for all types of misunderstandings about God Rama. And his next question, when God is infinitely kind and loving, why does he punish souls for sharing incomplete or wrong knowledge about him? Uh, his detailed question is, when God is infinitely kind and loving, why does he punish souls for sharing incomplete or wrong knowledge about him? In one of your discourses, it was mentioned that a person who preaches wrong knowledge will be thrown into hell, and that one should not have an itching desire to become a guru. What is wrong if a person's intent is pure to move towards God and help others do the same, even if the knowledge shared is imperfect or born out of ignorance? Why would God still punish such mistakes when the heart's intention is sincere? Swami replied, people preach wrong knowledge to the world because they don't have patience to learn the true knowledge from the divine preacher completely. Such people are very hasty to become divine preachers due to their ego-based ambition. It is their foolish ambition that creates the itching desire to become the divine preacher immediately. The human tendency is to become a great person as soon as it sees a great person. One automatically becomes a great person when he or she puts sufficient efforts for some time at least. A student observing a lecturer in the very first class wants to become a lecturer by the next day itself. The disciples preached and guided by such false preachers enter into the wrong path. As long as these disciples are in the wrong path, so long the false preacher will be suffering in the hell. This is perfectly justified punishment. And his next question, what is wrong if a person decides priesthood as a profession and makes a living from it and simultaneously staying closer to God? Actually, the detailed question is, what is wrong if a person decides to choose priesthood as a profession and makes a living from it, especially when it provides an opportunity to stay close to God? Don't you think it is a wonderful profession that offers both spiritual closeness to God and a mean and a means to earn a livelihood? Swami replied, the closeness to God comes only if the priest guides the people towards God in the correct path. Excellent point here. This is possible only when he knows the meaning of the scripture. Reciting the scripture like an inert blind tape recorder is only a waste of time for both the public and himself. Without true and complete spiritual knowledge, how can devotion be developed in human beings? Oh, excellent. And his next question, is it fair to say that it is wrong for a Purohit to demand money for performing rituals? A detailed question is, below are the comments passed by my friend after going through one of your discourses on Purohitam or priesthood. Request you to kindly counter his points. There are Brahmins who make their livelihood through Purohitam, that is priestly duties, because they have no other options and often come from poverty. These priests demand dakshina, that is monetary offerings from the devotees. Is it justified to compare such human purohits with a Sadguru who is God incarnate and performs purohitam without demanding dakshina? The Sadguru, being omnipotent and all-powerful, is fundamentally different from a human purohit who is limited and relies on monetary support to survive. Is it fair to say that it is wrong for a purohit to demand money for performing rituals? In today's context, people spend lakhs of rupees on photography, decorations, clothes, and food for weddings. Yet they complain and hesitate when it comes to paying the Purohit who conducted the ceremony. When people exploit Purohits in such a manner, is it still reasonable to expect Purohits not to demand their rightful earnings? Swami replied, If a person is made to perform a ritual without knowing the meaning of the Vedic hymns recited by them, the so-called priest is just a blind tape recorder. What is the benefit to the performer of the ritual? The performer of the ritual is forced to do the ritual through fear superimposed on him. In this context, God is not at all pleased with the priest. When the priest is not benefiting the performer in any way, what right does the priest have to demand money from the performer in this context? Even the priest is not spiritual, since he himself does not know the meaning of the scripture. Even the divine preacher who guides people with true spiritual knowledge is not demanding money from them. God gives plenty of money to every spiritual preacher when God is pleased with his work. The priest shall become a true preacher so that he will be blessed by God in the materialistic life as well as in the spiritual life. When the priest gives true knowledge of the Vedic scripture to the public, God will be pleased to bless both the priest and the performer of the ritual. Oh, excellent message. His next question is it a sin to enjoy the money given by my relative who earns by corruption also? The detailed question is, my aunt is a devotee of God, worships Lord Datta every day. However, she is a government employee who earns money by corruption. She has gifted me some money as a gift to buy clothes out of affection and love. I took this money not to make her feel bad, as she is a devotee of Lord Datta. Now, if I enjoy this money by buying clothes, is it a sin? What should have been my response to her offer? Is it fair to tell on her face that she is doing a mistake or leave it to God and accept money? What is the right approach? Swami replied, if you have no other alternative for your livelihood, enjoying such money is not a sin. If you have sufficient earning for your livelihood, take the money and spend it wisely in God's work. Excellent. Next question. I request you to kindly help us understand the below Sanskrit proverb in the right way. The proverb is Jivane Yavadadanam Syat Pradanam Tatodhikam. Ityesha Prarthanasmakam Bhagavan Paripuryatam. Swami replied, this means that charity shall be more than earning. This is said to be the highest goal, so that the follower will at least reach a higher goal in which the human being can do charity after deducting the expenses needed for the basic needs of himself and his family. Oh, excellent. So it is almost 6 o'clock. So I will stop here for Bhakti Ganga. Namaskaram, Swami.
స్వామి మీ పాద పద్మాలకు నమస్కారం స్వామి.
దత్తులోరమండి భిక్షాదానము చేయండి, దత్తులోరమండి భిక్షాదానము చేయండి. బాలునిలో వికలాంగునిలో వృద్ధునిలో రోగగ్రస్తునిలో ఆవేశించి అడిగదమండి, మీ త్యాగ పరీక్షను చేస్తామండి. దత్తులోరమండి భిక్షాదానము చేయండి. సోమరిపోతులు కొందరు మా పేరు చెప్పి అడిగెదరండి, వారికి భిక్షలు వద్దండి, పని చేసే పదమును చూపండి. దత్తులోరమండి భిక్షాదానము చేయండి. జ్ఞాన విచక్షణతో పాత్ర దానము చేయండి. యోగ్యునకిచ్చుట పుణ్యం బండి, అయోగ్య దానము పాపం బండి. దత్తులోరమండి భిక్షాదానము చేయండి. దత్తులోరమండి భిక్షాదానము చేయండి. దత్తులోరమండి భిక్షాదానము చేయండి.
ధన్యవాదాలు స్వామి. ధన్యవాదాలు స్వామి.
तत्सवितुस्ता देवतायाः वरेण्यभर्गो धीमहि प्रचोदयेद्वै धियो यो नः तं ब्रह्माणं ज्ञानसूर्यं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं प्राणे प्रसवात् यः प्रसिद्धः सवितेत्यस्य ब्रह्मतेजः शिष्यधियश्च प्रेरयेन्नः तं गायत्री मन्त्रसारम् भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं गायत्रीयं छन्द एव सविता देवः स्मर्यते च शिष्यान्धकार मुकुलिताब्जा धीविका सदं गुरुवरेण्यं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं कर्ता भर्ता ह्येषहर्ता सर्वस्यास्य श्रूयते हि त्रिमूर्तिरूपं ब्रह्मचैकं ब्रह्माकारं ब्रह्मवाचं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం త్రిపదం ఛందః త్రిస్వరోక్తం త్రికాలవంద్యం త్రిగుణసూత్రం త్రివాహినీనాం సంగమం వా త్రిమూర్తితత్వం యం యనక్తి భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం ఓంకారశ్చ త్రివిధ వర్ణః త్రిస్రో వ్యాహృత యోపి యం హి సంబోధయంతి సర్వమంత్రో యమేవ వక్తి త్రిగుణమేకం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం చత్వారోయం వేదశునకాః గౌరనుసరతి చ వేదధర్మః వీణాశ్రవణం వాణీపతిం షోడశవర్షం బ్రహ్మదేవం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం జగదారంభం హంసవాహం తేజోవదనం మంత్రమూలం గాయత్రీశం సామగానం విద్యానిలయం వేదపాఠం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం యజ్ఞాచరణం హోమనిష్టం కమండలుధరం దర్భపాణిం అగ్నిజ్వాలా భాసమానం ప్రాతః సంధ్యా బాలభానుం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం చందన తిలకే కుంకుమాంకం బ్రహ్మ తేజసా దీప్యమానం జగన్మోహన సుందరాంగం ఆశాయధరం పండితేశం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం అత్రే పుత్రం బ్రహ్మదత్తం అనసూయాంబా ప్రేమరాశిం అజనమేఖలం బ్రహ్మదండం యజ్ఞోపవీత మక్షమాలం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం స్వతనోరుద్యత్ కమలగంధైః త్రిభువనాని హ్లాదయంతం బ్రహ్మముహూర్తే సాధకానాం ప్రచోదయేత్తా ధియో యో నః భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం సృష్టిక్రమవద పురుష సూక్తం త్రిస్వరబద్ధం పావనార్థం ఋషిభిః పఠితం బ్రహ్మకాలే శ్రుత్వా శ్రుత్వా ప్రీయమాణం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం త్రిమతాచార్యై పఠ్యమానాన్ తత్తన్మతమయ భాష్యవాదాన్ శ్రుత్వా సిద్ధాంతార్థమంత్యం సమన్వయమతం వాచయంతం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం వేదాంతానా మాంతిమార్థం వేదాంతార్థం బోధయంతం ఋషిభిః పరితో భాషమాణం శాస్త్రార్థేషు వ్యంజితేషు భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం ఆయుధవర్జిత పాణిపద్మం వాచైవారిం మారయంతం కర్మఫలాని లలాటపత్రే లిఖంతమాయో దాయదానం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం భజ భజ దత్తం ఆచార్యేంద్రం వాక్ప్రచారం భువి సంచారం నిర్విచారం కళాభిచారం సదాచారం సురపరిచారం चित्तचोरं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं पद्मसंभवं पद्मपीठं पद्मसुगन्धं पद्मवर्णं पद्मापुत्रं पद्मनेत्रं पद्मसुपाणिं पद्मपादं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं वीणापाणिः यस्य शिष्या वाणी गायति ज्ञानदेवी तं वागीशं सामवाचा चरशोणाधर मन्त्रपाठं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं यत्सङ्कल्पः केवलं हि सर्वं विश्वं रचितमेवम् आद्यं देवं प्रथममूर्तिम् आराधनीया मजमनादिं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं ललाटरेखां कर्मबद्धां परिमार्ष्टुं यः केवलो हि सर्वसमर्थो लेखकोऽयं धातारं तं मूलमूलं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं चतुराम्नायां चतुरवाचा चतुरास्याब्जै रुद्गिरन्तं कविं कवीनाम् आदिकाव्यं सर्वजगदिदं विरचयन्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं परमब्रह्म ब्रह्मशब्दो यस्मिन्नेव प्रकृतिहेतौ पूजातीतं परमपूज्यं दिवसारम्भे पूजनीयं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं गायत्र्याद्या यस्य भार्याः त्रिशक्तयस्ताः त्रिमुखपद्मं देवपितॄणां पितरमेव पितामहाख्यं ब्रह्मरूपं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं श्रीदत्त ब्रह्म गायत्रीं योगायेत् ब्रह्मकालिकीं सब्रह्म तेजसा दीप्तो ज्ञानी ब्रह्मत्वमश्नुते शतायुर्दायमाप्नोति सर्वविद्याः प्रपद्यते सत्पुत्रं लभते होमात् ऐश्वर्यं ब्रह्मवीक्षितः भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं भज भज दत्तं
वेंकटेश्वर 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 पाहि मां वेंकटेश्वर 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 रक्ष माम् ऊर्ध्वपुण्ड्रविलक्षणाङ्कित फालदेशसमुज्ज्वलं सप्तशैलविभूषणं नव नीलमेघसमप्रभं वामपार्श्वविलम्बिमौक्तिक दामचारुकिरीटिनं वेङ्कटेश्वरमाश्रये मम किं करिष्यति वै कलिः वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 पाहि मां वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 रक्ष माम् हंसयोरुपरिस्फुरद्युति शङ्खचक्रसुलक्षितं चक्रवाकसमाकृतिस्फुट कर्णभूषणशोभितं स्वर्णवर्णधगद्धगद्युति नूतनाम्बरविभ्रमं वेङ्कटेश्वरमाश्रये मम किं करिष्यति वै कलिः वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 पाहि मां वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 रक्ष माम् चित्रपुष्पसरोल्लसत्तुलसीदलात्मकमालिकं वज्रमौक्तिकधाम संभृत चित्रचित्रविभूषणं शोणपद्मविशेषहार परिष्कृतामलकन्धरं वेङ्कटेश्वरमाश्रये मम किं करिष्यति वै कलिः वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 पाहि मां वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 रक्ष माम् शूतपल्लवकोमलाधर नर्तितस्मितसुन्दरं चन्दनाङ्कसमुल्लसच्युबुकान्तकान्तिविलक्षणम् उल्लसत्तिलपुष्पसंमित चरुनासमनोहरं वेङ्कटेश्वरमाश्रये मम किं करिष्यति वै कलिः वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 पाहि मां वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 रक्ष माम् धौतदीधितिमीनयुग्म कलालसत्तललोचनं कामचापयुगभ्रुवोरति सुन्दराकृतिभासुरं वामपाणिविलोलसौरभ वर्षिकोमलवारिजं वेङ्कटेश्वरमाश्रये मम किं करिष्यति वै कलिः वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 पाहि मां वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 रक्ष माम् दक्षिणादिगुणालयं शुभ सर्वसद्गुणसागरं पापकूपनिमग्नजीव समुद्धरं धरणीधवम् अङ्गुलीयकवज्रदीधिति पाणिनाभयदायकं वेङ्कटेश्वरमाश्रये मम किं करिष्यति वै कलिः वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 पाहि मां वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 रक्ष माम् उज्ज्वलाङ्गसुदर्शनाभिध चक्रखण्डितराक्षसं सर्वमङ्गलदेवता रमयालसद्गुरुवक्षसं शङ्खचक्रगदाशिशार्ङ्ग समाख्यपञ्चसमायुधं वेङ्कटेश्वरमाश्रये मम किं करिष्यति वै कलिः वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 पाहि मां वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 रक्ष माम् यः पठेदिदमद्भुतं स्तव मुत्तमोत्तममागमं सर्वकष्टविमुक्तिमेति सकृत्सुखं लभते नरः क्षीरसागरशायिनं परमाप्नुयात् परपूरुषं वेङ्कटेश्वरमाश्रये मम किं करिष्यति वै कलिः वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 पाहि मां वेङ्कटेश्वर 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 रक्ष माम्
शङ्कराय ते लोकशङ्कराय ते वन्दनानि मे देववासुदेवस्य शङ्कराय ते लोकशङ्कराय ते वन्दनानि मे देववासुदेवस्य फाललोचनं तव हि मे सुदर्शनं शूलमेव ते तिलकमोत्फपुण्ड्रकम् नीलकण्ठते भाति कण्ठनीलिम विस्तरान्महो मम हि देहनीलिम शङ्कराय ते लोकशङ्कराय ते वन्दनानि मे देववासुदेवस्य फालचक्षुषा दग्धपद्मसायकं पादराक्षिणा दृष्टपद्मसम्भवं प्रेमवीक्षणा लोलपद्मलोचनं त्वां त्रिलोचनं देवसंस्मराम्यहं शङ्कराय ते लोकशङ्कराय ते वन्दनानि मे देववासुदेवस्य नटनपण्डिता स्फुरति रम्यताण्डवं चित्रमण्डलं भ्रमणलोलकुण्डलं पुरगमण्डन स्खलितधर्मदण्डनं धनुजखण्डनं विजितभारतीभण्डनं शङ्कराय ते लोकशङ्कराय ते वन्दनानि मे देववासुदेवस्य शङ्कराय ते लोकशङ्कराय ते वन्दनानि मे देववासुदेवस्य అడుగో అల్లడుగో వెంకటదత్తుడు తీయ మామిడి చిగురులేత పెదవులందు చిందెడు సన్న నవ్వువాడు ఉదయాన సరసులో విచ్చుచున్న కమలాల బోలు నయనములవాడు నీటుగానున్న సంపెంగ సుమము బోలునా సంబుతో వెలుగువాడు పన్నీర పుష్పాల తళుకులలుకు లేత బుగ్గల ఎర్రతనమువాడు ఊర్ధ్వత్రిపుండ్రంబులుజ్వలముగా భాషించుచుండు నిటలంబువాడు తప్త కాంచన దీప్తి మెరుపులొప్ప పీతాంబరోజ్వలాంచలమువాడు కొండబండల మీద అర్ధరాత్రి పద్మ కొరకై పరుగు పరుగుతోడ దిగుచున్నవాడతడే పలుగురాళ్ళ కాలిగాయముల లెక్కింపడెపుడు నిస్వార్థ భక్తికై ప్రాణమైన తృణముగా త్యాగంబు సేయువాడు కోటి యజ్ఞములైన జపతపములు పూజలైనను వాని కట్టలేవు అడుగో అల్లడుగో వెంకటదత్తుడు
అస్తమిస్తున్న పొద్దు మీద సమీపిస్తున్న కాలమా సడలుచున్న దివ్య భక్తి పాశమా దూరమవుతున్న దత్త దైవమా జన్మ జన్మల మా ప్రాణమా అస్తమిస్తున్న బల 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 హ హ హ అస్తమిస్తున్న పొద్దు మీద సమీపిస్తున్న కాలమా సడలుచున్న దివ్య భక్తి పాశమా దూరమవుతున్న దత్త దైవమా జన్మ జన్మల మా ప్రాణమా బల 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 హ హ హ దత్తదేవా భార్యా పిల్లల మీద వ్యామోహముతో 10 తరాలకు సరిపడు ఆస్తులు ఉన్నా ఇంకా ఇంకా అన్యాయాలు చేస్తూ ఆ అన్యాయాల శిక్షలు పడకుండా దేవుడు రక్షించాలనే ఉద్దేశము మనసులో దాచుకొని పైకి ఎంతో భక్తి ఉన్నట్లు నటించే దొంగ భక్తులతో నిన్ను బుట్టలో వేసుకోవాలనే మోసాన్ని సర్వజ్ఞుడవైన నీవు తెలుసుకొని మానవులకు వారి కర్మఫలాల శిక్షలను వారికే ఇస్తున్నావు. దత్తప్రభు, నీకు వందనం వందనం వందనం. స్వార్థాన్ని మనసులో దాచి ఉంచి బయటకు కురిపిస్తున్న భక్తి నటనమా, మీ కర్మ ఫలాలు మీరే పొందండని తిరగబడ్డ దత్త దైవమా, మానవ జాతి మీద నీ కోపమా, మోసపు భక్తికి దక్కిన శాపమా. బల 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 హ హ హ. అస్తమిస్తున్న బల 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 హ హ హ అస్తమిస్తున్న పొద్దు మీద సమీపిస్తున్న కాలమా సడలుచున్న దివ్య భక్తి పాశమా దూరమవుతున్న దత్త దైవమా జన్మ జన్మల మా ప్రాణమా బల 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 హ హ హ దత్తదేవా మానవుల దొంగ భక్తికి అమాయకముగా బుట్టలో పడ్డట్లు నీవు నటించి వారి స్వార్థపు కోరికలను ఒకవైపు నెరవేరుస్తూ మరోవైపు వారికి తెలియకుండానే వారి పాపాల శిక్షలను అనుభవించే కాలాన్ని పొడిగిస్తూ ఆ పొడిగించిన కాలానికి పెచ్చు వడ్డీలను వేసి ఆ వడ్డీలను కూడా వారు అనుభవించేట్లు చేస్తున్నావే నీ మేధాశక్తి ముందు మానవుల దొంగ తెలువులు నిలవగలవా దత్తప్రభు నీకు వందనం 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 కర్మఫలాలను పొడిగించి వడ్డీ కట్టించు తిరుగు మోసమా మాయలోబడి వరమునిచ్చినట్లు నటించు దత్తమాయ వేషమా సత్యభక్తికి లొంగు ప్రేమ పాశమా నిజమైన భక్తులకు చేయు దాస్యమా కోరిక లేని భక్తులపైనున్న మోహమా బల 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 హ హ హ అస్తమిస్తున్న బల 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 హ హ హ అస్తమిస్తున్న పొద్దు మీద సమీపిస్తున్న కాలమా సడలుచున్న దివ్య భక్తి పాశమా దూరమవుతున్న దత్త దైవమా జన్మ జన్మల మా ప్రాణమా బల 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 హ హ హ
धरती पर भक्तों के तुम हो उद्धारक भक्तों के कष्टों के तुम हो निवारक जीवों के भरता तुम ही हो मेरे पालक जगत गण हूँ मैं और तुम जग संचालक
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
सृष्टि स्थिति लयकारी तुम दत्तावतारी तुम्हारी लीला स्वामी जग से है न्यारी काषाय वस्त्रों में दत्त त्रिपुरारी तुम्हारी महिमा गाए हम सब नर नारी
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
त्रिगुणों के मालिक कर त्रिगुणों को धारण स्वयं ही सिखाए ज्ञान भक्ति समर्पण तेरे रमणार्थ सदा यत्न निरंतर तुम्हारी सेवा में ही मैं रहूं सदा तत्पर
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
वेदों के कर्ता तुम ही वेदों के रक्षक तुमसे ही वेदों का अस्तित्व अब तक वेदों के वचन हो तुम में ही सार्थक तुम बिन स्वामी है ये जीवन निरर्थक गुरु
दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
प्रज्ञान स्वामी का है मोक्षकारी नष्ट करे सारे अवगुण हमारे जितनी भी चाहे हो इच्छा हमारी फिर भी न छोड़ा हमें बेसहारे
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
अहम में डूबे हम मनुष्य सारे करते तिरस्कार प्रभु का हमारे प्रेम से प्रभु सहते आरोप सारे फिर भी हमें स्वामी गले लगावे
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
अहम सोया बिन दत्ता को ध्यावे पत्री अनसोया वही मानव होवे अंत समय में जो दत्ता पुकारे पुत्र समान दत्ता दौड़े आवे
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
यथाशक्ति यथ भक्ति चरण आरंभे कर्म संन्यास कर प्रेम निर्धारे कर्म फल त्याग कर भक्ति प्रमाणे दोनों करे सो कर्म योगी हो साबित।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्तात्रेय मूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
अमृत वचन स्वामी का नैया है पारे सुन ले मन तू हो जा स्वामी का प्यारे। स्वामी बिन है पैर पंगुम हमारे स्वामी भजना हरे पीड़ा हमारी।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्तात्रेय मूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
तुम रहो दाता सदा मैं रहूं सदा याचक तुम रहो सदा मालिक और मैं रहूं सदा सेवक। काहू को डरना जब तुम हो मेरे रक्षक तुम्हारी सेवा में ही जीवन मेरा सार्थक।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्तात्रेय मूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
मनमोहक अति सुंदर अत्यंत प्यारी आनंदाई स्वामी छवि तुम्हारी। दर्शन मात्रे तृप्त आत्मा हमारी दृष्टि स्वामी की है चमत्कारी।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्तात्रेय मूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
परिपूर्णतम साक्षात् परब्रह्म स्वामी वेदों से परिवेद सार है स्वामी। अनूह्य अवतारी अचिंत्य स्वामी मनुष्य अवतारी परब्रह्म स्वामी।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्तात्रेय मूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रिये वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् भक्त्यानन्या श्री दत्त स्वामिने समर्पयामि श्री दत्त स्वामिने समर्पयामि श्री दत्त स्वामिने समर्पयामि।
परब्रह्म समारंभां श्रीदत्तात्रेय मध्यमां श्रीदत्त स्वामी पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरु परंपरां। सर्वविश्वन्यस्तपादपद्मायते वामहस्तालोल वेदशास्त्रायते ज्ञानसूर्यायते दत्तरूपायते श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वंदनम श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वंदनम श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वंदनम। गुरुदत्त श्रीदत्त प्रभुदत्त पाहि मां विधिदत्त हरिदत्त हरदत्त रक्ष मां पाहि मां दत्त रक्ष मां दत्त। स्वामी नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते
पाद नमस्कारं स्वामीजी।
పాద నమస్కారం స్వామి. పాద నమస్కారం
స్వామి మీ పాద పద్మాలకు నమస్కారం స్వామి.
పాద నమస్కారం స్వామి.
పాద నమస్కారం
స్వామి.
పాద నమస్కారం స్వామి. పాద నమస్కారం స్వామి.
నమస్కారం స్వామి.
పాద నమస్కారం స్వామి.
నమస్కారం స్వామీజీ.
పాద నమస్కారం స్వామి.
పాద నమస్కారం స్వామి.
పాద నమస్కారం స్వామీజీ. పాద
పాద నమస్కారం స్వామి.
నమస్కారం స్వామి.
पाद नमस्कारं स्वामी।
प्रणाम स्वामी जी।
నమస్కారం స్వామి. పాద నమస్కారం స్వామి. పాద నమస్కారం స్వామి.
సాష్టాంగ నమస్కారం స్వామి.
पाद नमस्कारं स्वामीजी।
Is anyone left to offer pranams to Swami?
నమస్కారం స్వామి.
Pada Namaskaram Swami.
नमस्ते।
उद्वेगरहिता संतोषरहिता शांति समुद्रा श्री दत्ता शांति समुद्रा श्री दत्ता शांति समुद्रा श्री दत्ता ओम शांति शांति शांति।
नमस्ते स्वामी जी।